There was one question hanging over American sprinting before the USA Track and Field Championships. Who was the fastest man in the country right now? Christian Coleman looked unbeatable in the early rounds. Kenny Bednarek arrived as the defending national champion. Ronnie Baker was quietly finding his best form again. But when the lights came on and the championship was on the line, only one name delivered the answer. On the same track where Usain Bolt once stunned the world with a historic sprint, NoahLyles produced a performance that reminded everyone exactly why he's still the man to beat. The men's 100-meter competition at Icon Stadium was packed with talent from the very first heat. The venue itself carried special meaning. It had been decades since the national championships were last held there, and fans couldn't ignore the memories of Bolt's incredible world record run on that famous track. Back in 2008, the stage couldn't have been more fitting for another unforgettable sprint showdown. As the opening round began, Christian Coleman immediately grabbed attention. The former world champion exploded out of the blocks and clocked the fastest performance of the round with a blazing 9.96 seconds. NoahLyles stayed right behind him with an impressive 9.97, showing that his preparations had gone exactly as planned. Kenny Bednarek comfortably advanced without revealing all of his speed, while Courtney Lindsay and Ronnie Baker also secured their places in the next round with confident performances. After his race, Lyles looked completely relaxed instead of celebrating an easy qualification. He spoke about how fast the track felt beneath his feet. He hinted that the championship final would produce something special at the time. It sounded like confidence. A few hours later, it looked more like a prediction. The semifinals raised the intensity even higher. Kenny Bednarek controlled the opening semifinal with an impressive display, crossing the finish line first ahead of Courtney Lindsay. Although the wind reading made the times ineligible for record purposes, both athletes looked incredibly comfortable, almost as if they were saving something for the championship race. Christian Coleman answered immediately in the second semifinal. His trademark start wasn't quite perfect, but his experience carried him through another convincing victory. Once again, Coleman reminded everyone why many believed he was still the favorite heading into the final. Then NoahLyles stepped onto the track for the final semifinal, and suddenly the entire stadium felt different. Ronnie Baker reacted brilliantly to the gun and briefly held the advantage, but Lyles remained patient. Meter by meter, his trademark top-end speed began to appear. Before the finish line arrived, he had completely taken control, stopping the clock in the fastest semifinal performance of the day. Even with a wind-assisted reading, it was enough to send one clear message to every competitor watching. But speed wasn't the only storyline surrounding this championship. The rivalry between NoahLyles and Kenny Bednarek had already become one of the biggest talking points in American sprinting. Their heated confrontation after a previous championship remained fresh in fans' memories, adding another layer of pressure to an already loaded final. Bednarek wanted to defend his national title. Lyles wanted to extend his dominance. Something had to give when the finalists settled into their blocks. The atmosphere inside Icon Stadium became electric. Coleman occupied lane 4, Lyles lined up beside him in lane 5. Bednarek waited in lane 6. Three of America's biggest sprint stars stood only a few feet apart, separated by nothing except 10 seconds of racing. The gun fired. Coleman exploded exactly as expected. Bednarek matched him stride for stride, and for the first few moments it looked like Lyles had given away too much ground. But appearances can be deceiving. Lyles never lost his composure. He trusted the race plan that he and coach Lance Brahman had prepared. Instead of chasing desperately, he stayed relaxed as the runners approached the final 40 meters. Everything changed. Lyles shifted into another gear. His stride lengthened. His turnover increased. Every step brought him closer to the leaders until suddenly he wasn't chasing anyone anymore. He was leading. The finish line arrived with NoahLyles clearly in front of the field. As he crossed, he threw his arms into the air, celebrated with pure emotion, and knew exactly what he had accomplished. Before even looking at the clock, 9.79 seconds, that single number carried enormous significance. Not only was it the fastest performance recorded anywhere in the world during the 2026 season, but it also matched the personal best that Lyles had previously set on one of the biggest stages of his career. Producing that kind of time at a national championship proved that his form was already reaching world-class levels. Long before the season's biggest international events, behind him, the battle for second place was unbelievably close. Ronnie Baker edged out Kenny Bednarek by the smallest possible margin. After both athletes recorded virtually identical times, it was one of those finishes where only the photo finish camera could determine the final order. Christian Coleman, despite dominating the earlier rounds, had to settle for fourth after being unable to maintain his early advantage over the closing meters. The result highlighted one of the greatest strengths in NoahLyles' racing style. While many sprinters depend almost entirely on explosive starts, Lyles continues to separate himself with exceptional speed over the second half of the race. Even when he isn't first after the opening steps, his confidence never disappears because he knows his strongest running is still ahead. Following the victory, Lyles described the feeling of winning as something impossible to replace. According to him, competing at the highest level creates an excitement unlike anything else. And moments like these are exactly why he continues chasing greatness season after season. The win also added another chapter to his already remarkable career, giving him a third national title in the men's 100 meters. Yet his ambitions extend far beyond a domestic championship. With the 200 meters still waiting, Lyles now has another opportunity to add to his legacy while continuing his pursuit of another championship double. Perhaps the most exciting part for sprint fans is what comes next. Lyles believes there is still another level waiting to be unlocked. He has openly suggested that this performance is far from his absolute limit, a statement that should concern every sprinter hoping to challenge him at the upcoming WorldAthletics competitions and the Los Angeles Olympic Games. It's worth remembering just how competitive American sprinting has become. Entering these championships, numerous athletes had already broken the 10-second barrier during the season, simply reaching the final required world-class speed, winning it in 9.79 seconds, sent an unmistakable message to the rest of the world. So what did this championship really prove? It confirmed that NoahLyles remains the standard for American sprinting. Christian Coleman showed flashes of brilliance but couldn't finish the job. Kenny Bednarek fought hard, but narrowly missed the podium. Ronnie Baker reminded everyone that he's still capable of competing with the very best, and NoahLyles, he didn't just win another national title. He reminded the entire sprinting world that when the pressure reaches its highest point, he has another gear that very few athletes can match. If this performance is only the beginning, the biggest races of the season could produce something even more extraordinary.